Now live.
Hey
Hi,
there.
what's up, everybody?
How y'all doing?
Yeah, we're in our gear.
You see, we're in our gear getting ready for this Super Bowl game, doggone it.
Supporting the Rams. But,
Yeah.
You know, praise God. Oh, brother, okay.
We've got Pastor Loritts is here already. Hooray, hooray, hooray. That's good. We're enjoying that. And we're getting ready. This weekend, we're going to try to stay out of the traffic. Hi, Trey. Hi, Dave. Hi,
there he is.
Pastor Loritts.
Hey.
How you doing?
God, brother.
Now, are you Rams fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. We just...
Okay.
You know, we like the 49ers, though, too.
Okay.
But Pastor Loritts, who are you looking at?
Well, I grew up in Atlanta. So
okay.
I'm used to having my heart broken, but I gotta stick with them.
And you still deal with them. They're red and white, huh? Are they red and white? What's their colors?
Red, black, and white.
Okay.
Red, black,
so
and
are you to even watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah. We're gonna have a whole bunch of people over, you know, and but you know what's crazy is, so just about every year my father speaks at the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
So he gets 2 free tickets every year, but I've never gone because my mother, who can't stand football, she just likes to go for the halftime.
I ain't mad. Well, you know what?
This year, you know,
we gotta, before we keep going, because we haven't talked to each other in a while, we need to introduce
the
Pastor Bryan Loritts. Now, you guys, I just gotta tell you, this gentleman, he doesn't know this, but he's very dear to our heart. Our daughters in particular just adore him because I believe you were a youth pastor at Faithful Central. And so his teachings were so incredible even then. Wow. We really miss him. We were hoping you were going to stay. But he's one of these incredible young pastors, even though he's been at it for a really long time. He's absolutely brilliant. He comes from an incredible family of pastors, and he's doing something which is a little bit unique. Pastor Loritts, you got to help me say it right. It's called
Kainos, actually.
Kainos.
Yeah.
Which is all about getting interracially, being sensitive to the body and not making it so segregated. I think I'm kind of saying it right, but you'll expound more on that. And we're just so excited to have you, especially because it's Black History Month. Yeah. So we put you on also to talk because you've been posting a lot on Black History Month. And so we're just excited to have a really incredible young man. Well, I call you young man. I'm sorry.
I'll take it.
He's mature.
Okay. You're mature. You've been a pastor for a while. But everyone, please welcome Pastor Bryan Loritts.
All right.
You know, I think it's important I say. So, gosh, I'm really dating myself. We were at the same church.
That's right.
Right when you all had really launched Kirk Franklin's career.
Yeah, I guess so.
I used to low-key stalk you guys, follow you guys around. So much admiration, so much respect for you all. You know, to see you all navigate that space and your faith well at the same time was so encouraging to me. So nothing but love for you all.
Thank you so much. Well, we've been following your I don't know what you call it, pastorhood, pastorship. What do you call that? Your workings as a pastor, right? And you traveling all
Memphis, over. Then Silicon Valley, and now you're in North Carolina. So what's?
Yeah, so we just moved here actually 3 days before George Floyd. And if it was to me, I'd still be in the Bay. But there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Happy wife, happy life." I think
that's a verse in the Bible. I'm looking for that one. I mean, I believe it.
You can say it again if you want to. But he's been keeping me real happy. But right now, he's been spoiling me a lot.
Somewhere Proverbs.
Yeah, somewhere.
Wisdom books.
So my wife was not feeling the Bay Area. I loved it. And after 4 years, she wanted to be back east. And we had lived in North Carolina early on in marriage. And this was one of the places. So we're in the Raleigh-Durham area. And our church has 12 locations. So we're all over the triangle. So it's
locations.
Wow.
Now,
yeah.
what's the name of the new church, where you are now?
It's called the Summit Church.
The Summit.
Church,
Okay.
right.
I like parts of North Carolina, though, very much. We used to hang out in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Stayed in Charlotte for a while, and she was really. Who's that? There's a really young. She was really involved in the youth ministry out of Charlotte.
I can't remember.
Zertig.
A white guy. Verdict?
Stephen Furtick.
Verdict,
yes,
yeah.
Steve.
And she was doing work there at that church. It was real hip.
Elevation is the name of it.
Elevation Church.
And they do great music. They've got great music. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing a big thing with music. But so we talked already, I guess, about how we met.
Yes.
LA, and how I really didn't want you to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm being a little messy early, but you heard about Pastor changing and gonna move out of his senior position. So
yeah, we've known about that for a couple of years. You know, look, Bishop celebrates 40 years at the church next month.
That's right.
He said after 40 years, it's time for him to move on. And the guy he's turning it over to, Pastor JP, is like a little brother to me. So
okay.
World. In fact, Pastor JP called me on Monday, and it was a great conversation. I encouraged him, and he's got some big shoes to fill.
Oh, you sure
I know.
does.
We probably need to have him on the show because Bishop is
right. So it was
speaking highly of him. So
he's been
I'm
in the he's been in the wings for a little bit. So it was formalized, and so this transition. So it's on us to kind of support him. And you know, you need support in the transition.
Absolutely.
I'm having a little bit of a fit, but it's not because of JP. I think he's a wonderful person, but it makes me feel like I must be getting old then too. And
we all are.
I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I just wasn't ready, even though I knew it was coming.
Now, are you still the trustee at
Viola? Absolutely. So way about three times a year, we've got board meetings out your way. And so I actually went to grad school there. That place is near and dear to my heart. In fact, Bishop, who, as we know, is really big on education.
Absolutely.
He actually sent me there, made sure my schooling was paid for, and and Bishop was actually on the board when I was a student there. And then he stepped down, and I actually took his place on the board. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, he's been appointed to some sort of diversity position.
That's right. So what's funny is, working at the school, I'm technically his boss.
What?
Oh, that's funny.
But you're really into diversity. I mean, Kainos is about diversity. I guess it really means that now is appropriate time for diversity.
Yes.
There wasn't ever appropriate time as now.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just diversity on paper, right? I think when we talk about true diversity, we're talking about equity, sharing of power, things of that nature. I think we've given it lip service for a long time, and it's now to move past just having a face or a few faces to really now empowering voices. I think there's a real hunger in our culture, especially among the younger generation. Even when I look among younger generations of our white brothers and sisters, you know, if you watch the George Floyd kind of global protests, there's a lot of white people out there in the street.
Yes, there were.
You know, and
the other side.
Absolutely.
Disdain. I'm very concerned right now. How can you help me with my real concerns about what's happening in the church, where I feel it's become overly political? We've talked before about some of our friends being canceled, like Lecrae.
Yep.
Reported. Warnock in Atlanta, and if you
who's pro abortion, so to speak.
So just for that one thing, then they were canceling Lecrae, saying you can't come back to the church, and you know, if you're not for Trump, you can't come in the church. I'm like, what?
Yep.
I'm really concerned. Help me.
That's right. No, I think your concerns are completely validated. Absolutely. And, you know, I think there's several issues here. Obviously, you know, what I tell people all the time, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is bigger than a political party. So, you know, Jesus is bigger than Democrats. He's bigger than Republicans. And because of that, we have to be very careful of reducing Jesus and the Bible to a political party. So I think because of that, we should all have freedom to vote our conscience, right? And always nuance. Like, I think there are some good things about each political party. There's some things you'll agree with, some things you don't agree, right? And so, you know, some people are like, no, I need to be Democrat because historically, if you look at the Voting Rights Act, if you look at the Civil Rights Act, well, you go, who was the president who pushed that stuff through? It happened to be a Democrat. Now, I'm not saying this to say you need to vote that way, but what I'm saying that is as an example to say you can see how Black people or marginalized people would skew that way. But just because you vote that way doesn't mean you agree with everything that party.
Right. Because my grand Republican, they became Democrat, but Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
That's right.
So at the very beginning, my grandparents stuff thought you had to be what Abraham Lincoln was.
Absolutely. So, you know, I was just doing a training the other day. It's Black History Month, and the reason why Carter G. Woodson, who was a Black historian, started Black History Month in February, it's not because it's the shortest month of the year and that's all some people could handle. It's in February because there are two people who are significant to Black history who were born that month. One was Abraham Lincoln. So he's born in February. The other is Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist. He's born in February. So that's why historically Black History Month has been in February, because again, to your point, Abraham Lincoln has historically held a special place in Black people's hearts.
Yeah, and see, I didn't get that. I really did think they picked the shortest month.
Right.
I was getting all kind of attitude, and you know, we had a young lady on last week, friends of ours, whose clothing line is in Target. Their name is Wally Noir, and she's a gospel singer. And you know, if it wasn't for Black History Month, whether we like it or not, a person like that wouldn't even have an opportunity with a place like Target to get the clothes in. But Pastor, why do you think Sunday is the most segregated time in the U.S.? Blacks on one side almost and whites on the other.
Well, so if you just kind of look historically, every historic Black denomination started because our white brothers and sisters did not fully embrace us. So if I take you back to the late 1700s, there's a church in Philadelphia called St. George's Methodist. And there was one Sunday, so a lot of churches back then, believe it or not, were multi-ethnic. The problem is Blacks sit up in the balcony.
That's right.
Right. So you had imagine this, back then there were whites only sections of the church. This one Sunday, true story, a Black man got caught praying in the whites only section of the church. They did not allow him to finish praying. They picked him up off his knees and threw him out. 2 weeks later, most of the Black people left. They bought a black shop, and they started their own denomination, which we now know as the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Historic Black I tell people all the time, and I don't mean this to be rude. The Black church only exists because the white church failed to be the church. If they would have only embraced us, there wouldn't have been what we now know as the Black church. Now, praise God for the Black church. You know, Bishop Ulmer, who's my father in the ministry, I praise God for it. There's a place for it. There's a role for it. The other thing I try to tell people is sanctuaries reflect dinner tables. So if people are still coming to church out of relationship, then our sanctuaries reflect really who we're doing relationships with. And so all of these, and there's more to it, kind of show why segregation is such, unfortunately, still a big deal in the Church of Jesus Christ today.
Yes, I remember going to Savannah, Georgia, and is that the same affiliated with the church? It's a different, but going upstairs, and the slave symbols.
That's right.
That, and the places where they were hiding slaves.
That's right.
On the floor, and so the slats are still there. And,
well, even did you know Watch Night? So you know Watch Night is a big deal in the Black church.
Yes, Watch Night.
Watch Night service, which is New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Watch Night service is such a big deal for two reasons. Number one, historically, you know, Abraham Lincoln makes his Emancipation Proclamation, and the slaves gathered on New Year's Eve in anticipation to see if in reality that was going to actually happen. The real reason, though, is because historically, January 1st and that first week was when the slave master would sell slaves. It's a big moving day for slaves. And so you would have families who would come on New Year's Eve because it was their last time to be together until they sold and divided. So that's why Watch Night is such a big deal in the Black church.
Some of it was they were watching to see if their families were going to stay intact or if people were going to be sold.
Well, they knew they were going to be sold. So it was like their last time to be together with the family.
The first of the year, things would happen.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. That just gave me a chill.
Yeah. You know, that's very good. History is very important. I never used to give a lot of, get into history, but it's really enlightening in a lot of ways. But, more and more in my journey, my Christian journey, I find I'm becoming more and more, or should I say, understanding with clarity just how unscriptural a lot of the white church's behavior towards Black is, and how I for a long time had overlooked it and just thought it was right. But then the more I look into it, you don't treat brothers and sisters like that.
That's right. That's exactly right.
We're supposed to be, the world will know we are His by the love we have for one another. So we can't treat each other like that in the church. It's just becoming more and more like, wow,
But isn't God amazing, though? As awful as we were treated, I was talking to somebody about this today. The great irony is it was the church that sustained us. It was the church that gave us a sense of strength. The fact that African Americans, by and large, and it's less and less now, I know, the fact that we still go to church in spite of the way we've been treated just speaks to the power of God, the power of the gospel, Black preaching. Even if you look at the civil rights movement, literally before we would take to the streets to march, we would gather in churches, right? Yeah. And that's where we would be inspired by biblical preaching from Black pastors. That's where our spirits would be uplifted as it relates to the music that we sang. John Lewis talks about how the preaching and the music of the Black church during the civil rights movement were like two wings, right? It was just, and we sang in the streets. We literally sang songs of Zion. So the church, even though we were treated horribly, it still sustained us during hours.
Especially as you pointed out, at those times, what it did was affirm who we are in Christ, and that these rights are God-given.
That's right.
In other words, even as children of God, this is what we should be walking, and this is how. And so, encourage you that the walk, it was right. In other words, God would smile upon it because we were doing the right thing.
That's right.
Well, I've got another we're doing a lot of controversy today, but this happened yesterday.
Oh, yeah,
and I wanted to know your opinion on this. I guess you're going to be the answer man for some questions I've had. Yesterday, a young kid, several young kids walked out of a Christian school assembly meeting they had. They were,
for clarity, it was an assembly, and they required all the kids to go to the same. It wasn't a Christian school; it was a Christian assembly at a regular school.
No, I think it was a Christian school. I think it was a Christian school. Okay, well, we'll have to check on that part.
Right.
But anyway, at any rate, they were trying to make all of the kids raise their hand and told them that if they did not receive the Lord, that they were going to hell, and that they had to raise their hands and they had to receive Christ. So what happened? Or they were going to go to hell. So the kids walked out. Some of the kids walked out of the assembly, and they're suing.
And protesting.
In protest.
This is in West Virginia.
In West Virginia.
Okay.
And I wanted to know your thoughts on it, because it turns out that they can sue.
Yeah, they can sue. And what? Go ahead. I mean,
so what do you?
Well, that's nowhere in the Bible, right? Like, the way I understand the Bible, hell is a very real place. It's a very sad and unfortunate place, but nowhere do you see people being coerced. In fact, what the Bible talks about is grace. It talks about mercy. It talks about this whole idea of whosoever will, let him come, right? And so what you never want to do is to try to coerce or pressure or force people into decisions, because those decisions are never authentic, right?
Right.
So, to make somebody do that doesn't make them saved, right? So that's the problem with that.
Yeah, in fact, it even goes. It makes them, in other words, against the church, where they take offense. Yeah, they take offense.
That's right.
That's not what we should be doing. Is making them take offense. It's well intentioned.
Yes.
But it's wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't even do my own kids that way. Obviously we value faith, we value spirituality, we value the church. And there's certain standards we have in our house, but I would never put any kind of pressure or coercion on my kids, because what I want you to have an authentic faith for yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's between you and God. I can't force that. In fact, some of the most rebellious kids are which are heavy-handed and legalistic, and that stuff just never really works.
Yeah, PK kids. I mean, they have so much pressure a lot of times.
Right. And the church is going to offend you anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Because for me, I never went to church. I went to church.
I don't know what you're saying.
Let me finish.
Okay, I don't understand that.
I was raised Catholic. Now I'm not going against Catholic, but I was really offended by them because my sister had an opportunity to go overseas to study, and I felt it was very racially motivated how they maneuvered to give her that opportunity. And so after high school, I never went to church. I just stopped going to church.
Yeah.
And but that didn't stop me from getting saved, because I got saved at work. So that's a separate story.
Well,
you can get offense in your heart, but God's going to get to you.
Absolutely. And when God says it's your time, there's nothing you can do about it, right? And if it's not your time, there's nothing you can do about it. So why try to force people into something?
That's right.
Yeah, that was very distasteful. That happened just yesterday, so you can look that up. But I wanted to talk about you as an author also, because you've written like what, 7 books?
7 books.
Yep, and I'm working on another one right now. So.
And you're just like 40, 41, something like that.
I've got a birthday tomorrow. You're not going to like this. Let's just say next year I'll be 50.
Whoa, what happened?
I know. Well, look, I hear y'all got babies.
Pardon me?
Y'all got grandkids, I hear.
I got some grandbabies now, so yeah.
Wow.
And they are cute. A 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, but 50.
Okay.
Can you
No.
Well, you know, I can tell my age, right? Because I'm 71.
Wow. Wow.
He's an old man. I'm not telling my age, but I'm getting up there. I'm going to have a birthday on the 27th of this month, so we're both February babies.
Yes.
I have to commend you, really. I really have to commend you. 7 books. Vicki, we've tried to get Vicki to write this book. How long have you been working on this book? You've been doing this thing how long? You've been working on it?
I am not talking to you about that.
We really need you all to write a book.
I'm in the midst of writing a book now. They're talking about doing a documentary and all this kind of stuff. So it's very painful because they want to know about my life and everything. And it's like being in a psychiatrist dealing with it. It's very.
But that's what makes books powerful, is when we feel the other person's story, their pain, what they've been through.
Right.
You don't want to put all the business out there, but we need to know your story.
But I think my point here is that I think it's a gift, to have written 7 books. I mean, I have about 10 books in my mind that I've never written.
In his mind. Well, there's one book in particular. I guess this is the last one. I'm just not even going to mention him. My journey as a stranger in white evangelicalism and my hope for us all.
Yes.
What in the world is that about? And I am going to get it. What, we can go to Amazon? Where can we go?
Yeah, Amazon, wherever books are sold, but really I think Amazon is your safest bet. You can go to Barnes and Noble, their online store. You can get all of that there. But really it's kind of my journey, my experience with our white brothers and sisters in the church. And the fact that I felt like a perpetual outsider, in those spaces.
Yes.
But it's not a hopeless book. I'm just saying, here's some things you need to be aware of that I'm not sure our white brothers and sisters who are Christian really know. And my hope was bringing it to light. My grandmama used to say, when you know better, you do better.
Better,
yes.
Right.
And so that's kind of really my hope in all of it. I talk about some of the other ugly experiences. I've gone to conservative white evangelical institutions for college, for grad school, and then for doctoral stuff. Not once was I ever required to read a person of color. Not once was I ever required to read a female. So everything was from a white male perspective.
Yeah.
And
they're listening?
Huh?
Do you think they're listening?
I hate to say it. I really think the Trump election of 2016 set us back.
I agree.
Yeah, I think.
Because I think, and again, I have friends who voted for Trump, but they would say, I voted for the Republican Party more than the person. So I'm going to be very careful in how I say this.
Right.
I think what Trump did was, and it's really a gift that I'm thankful for him about, I think he gave people permission to say how they really felt.
That's what I
really are.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was the veil was taken away.
Yep.
So you can see what it is, so you can deal with it.
And we have some very close friends, mutual friends, who, because of the abortion stance and things like that, they're with Trump.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Absolutely. And we've had very robust conversations about it.
I know. It's a difficult one, but you don't get rid of your friends over that, even though I thought about it, but I just I love him too much.
It's one thing to have some theological discussions about certain points, but when they become political points, that's really where I really have an issue with that.
We had an artist come on. Ernest Pugh just came on, and there probably some others. So I was saying hi to him real quick. But there was another. I mean, you have a lot of great quotes, but this really touched me. Something you had about evangelical gentrification. Most whites are unaware of the ethnic theology accent they carry on. And I want to say this because we have white people who I love who are watching the show as well. So we're not beating up on all white people or even all black people, because there's things to beat up on black folks and everybody else on too. But these are just some things, especially during Black History Month, that we did want to bring out. But I don't want anybody to take it as we're just beating up on one race or the other. And as a matter of fact, you're in a biracial marriage, right?
Yes, my wife is Latina, actually. Yeah. So here's what I was trying to say about that. I want to call you Vicki, but my mama would spank me. So I'm gonna call you Mrs. Lataillade. Look, I grew up down south.
Please don't do that. Because I want to call you Bryan.
Yeah, because I'm gonna call you Bryan. I give you permission. Please call me Vicki.
Okay.
That's why you're making me feel very old,
okay.
And that's gonna make me mad.
Here's what I'm trying to say with that. We all bring our unique perspectives to everything, but especially in how we understand matters of faith in the Bible. So, for example, Vicki, as a woman, you naturally see things through the lens of your gender, right? As men, Claude and I naturally see things through a male perspective. There's good about that, and there's some blinders with that. Same is true as African Americans. We see things a certain way. The problem becomes our white brothers and sisters. The challenge is the average white person does not consciously see themselves as white, right? So they don't see it from that perspective. And the danger now becomes because they don't see themselves with that perspective, they naturally think their perspective is the right perspective, and they normalize that perspective so that when I try to say, no, there's a different way to look at this, I get called a cultural Marxist or a critical race theorist or a social justice warrior. And it's really insensitive, where I think what we should do is we should do theology in community. Like, I need to understand a woman's perspective on something, right? White brothers and sisters need a Black perspective and vice versa. And so that's what I'm trying to argue for in that quote.
Well,
that's very important.
And I'm speaking of
to the point. I mean, Vicki's she's gonna get me after this. We read, not read, but we listen to the Bible, in the morning, and so we go through the New Testament, and we went through Timothy, and and there's scriptures in Timothy about what a woman should do. It's a win.
That's true. I went through that yesterday, and I do feel that some of that stuff can cause a few problems.
Right.
Don't have the proper perspective. I'm sorry. I really was challenged with some of that stuff.
And what my point is, I didn't like it was appropriate. I think her questions were valid, and it made you want to think.
Well, it was about women being silent in the church, and just some things like that. And I just feel that some people use that to oppress women sometimes. And I'm struggling with that again and anew.
Well, see, I think what the problem is, like we've got to be consistent, right? Because in 1 Corinthians 11, Paul says women should wear head coverings, right? That's cultural. That was what was appropriate there. Or if you look at 1 Peter 3, when Peter is saying, I don't want women to wear gold, any kind of jewelry, whatever. In the culture of the day, that's what prostitutes wore.
Right.
Now we're at different place culturally now, right? And so we've got to be sensitive to the specific cultural dynamics that were going on at a given place and time. We got to take out the larger universal message, and some of the cultural stuff, we just have to go, that was for then, that doesn't translate into now. So if you take First Peter 3, the broader point is he's really preaching and teaching on the importance of modesty and not being a distraction. That's what he's doing. He's not saying universally women should not wear jewelry. That's not.
I feel that some people don't get that, and just use that as a.
But I told her, I said, go back. We'll read about Sarah. They said you use the example of Sarah. I said, let's go back and look at how Sarah read the house.
Absolutely. Well, you tried to my wife, in First Peter 3, they say, and Sarah called Abraham Lord. So I told my wife, you need to call me Lord. She wasn't having that. She wasn't praying with me on that.
Right. This is what I'm saying. So,
let's see what she meant when she called him Lord.
Right.
I know. We can get on that one for a while. But
your point is well taken. You have to have these different points of view to really understand, and I think it's very important. Very important.
Yeah, it is. So I was struggling with that because I just think that some people use it to oppress women, and
that's right.
In a way like that, and I think that's really horrible. And I was going to tell you a little story about Claude and I. When you were talking about culture, it's so true. Culture in the church, because when we were in Nashville, we went to a Haitian church. Okay. Yeah, they had this Haitian church, and they would speak a lot in Creole and French and everything. And then one day the pastor came up, and there was a couple, white woman, black man, and another mixed couple. And he went to Claude and I and said, yes, we've got some other mixed couples like you. They considered Claude and I mixed. And Claude, is he trying to say we're mixed? They considered us mixed because he was Haitian and I was American, and it freaked me out. I said, did you say we were mixed? Everybody just said that they going, yeah, we're mixed people.
Wow.
Just a quick aside. We were driving around looking for some furniture one day, and I saw a sign that said Haitian worship service. And I said, Vicki, in Nashville, we got to go check this out.
Great church.
And, well, we got involved in ministry in Haiti and did a lot of stuff, but that's how I got started.
Wow.
So I found out I'm American, Aaron is Pew. He says, Vicki, you are American. I am, but I never thought of myself like
big situation.
And the pastor was bringing it out, like how beautiful it was that us mixed couples were together. Tripped me out. But we brought you on also because of just your awareness and some of the incredible Instagram posts that you've been putting out there, that we wanted to talk to you about enlightening. Now, you've enlightened me already on watch night service.
Yeah,
I'm going to think of that totally differently now. When oh my gosh, I want you to expound on some others. I picked one in particular that I didn't know about until I read it on your on Instagram, which was about Wilma Rudolph, who, by the way, my cousin's claim to fame is that she was a track star, and she came in second to Wilma Rudolph. So she was fast.
So what else you gonna do? She coming third. She came in second.
Well, even third would be good with Wilma Rudolph. But so tell us a little bit about her and her mother. These things I really didn't know about.
Wilma Rudolph, she was born in 1940 in a little town there in Tennessee. She was early on diagnosed with polio, which back then, this is for the vaccine, that was one of the worst things you can be diagnosed with. It's horrible to think about. She couldn't walk. She's got paralysis. but because she's Black, nobody would treat her within a 50-mile radius. So her mother, a woman by the name of Blanche, actually Wilma was the 20th of 22 kids. Her mother, Blanche, was domestic. She was the help. She worked for a white family. I don't know how she did it, but there was one hospital who would treat her, and you guys know it, living in Nashville. It was Meharry.
Oh, yeah, man.
She would drive 50 miles one way twice a week. So it's 100 miles round trip, times 200 miles a week, just to get her daughter treated. The doctor told her she would never walk again. At age 6, she would hop around on one leg. Age 8, she could limp. Age 11, her mama, Blanche, caught her playing basketball, was both horrified and encouraged. The next thing you know, Wilma starts playing basketball, is an All-American in high school, but track was really her thing, as we know. Go on, win the 56, she would win 3 gold medals, set 3 world records at the 1960 Olympics. Now you talk about a slap in the face. Coming home for the Olympics in 1960, her hometown, who wouldn't treat her, wanted to throw a parade for her, and Wilma said, only if it's integrated, which they agreed to. And so Wilma said towards the end of her life, the doctor said I would never walk. My mama said I would. She said, I believed my mother. And so my point was, we need to honor Blanche almost more so than her daughter, because you just talk about the power of a mother who speaks words of life over her daughter. And it took her from being paralyzed to being the fastest woman in the world.
Yeah. I did not know that about Wilma Rudolph. Now I know the rest of the story. That's incredible. And a woman of faith just speaking.
That's right.
So that's something for us all to remember.
That's right.
Yeah. There was are there any in particular that stand out to you? I have a list of some, but are there any in particular that you'd like to tell us about in Black history that maybe you posted or didn't post about?
Wow, yeah, you would ask. You know, I'm always intrigued by Satchel Paige, the great Negro League. They said he pitched in over 2,000 games, which is interesting. The story of Cool Papa Bell, who's regarded one of the fastest. You know, it really is true. They were staying at a hotel one night. He turned off the light in the hotel room and got into bed before it turned dark. That really did happen. It's because there was a little bit of a delay that happened there. But I just think all the opportunities that we deserved that we did not get. If anybody's watching this and they've ever had a loved one who's had to have bypass surgery, it was actually a Black man who pioneered that. So yeah, these little tidbits are beyond fascinating.
They are very fascinating. There was one in particular that I had besides Cool Papa Bell. He was in the Negro League, right?
Right.
He's in the Hall of Fame too, right?
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of Fame. You know, it's interesting. Hats off to Major League Baseball. Back in the 90s, Major League Baseball felt legitimately sorry for the way that they banned Black players. And so what they did back in the 1990s, they said, if you played in the Negro Leagues and you can prove that you played something around 4 years or whatever, we will give you your full pension.
Wow.
So it was kind of reparations. That Major League Baseball is actually trying to make things right. The last one that I'll say that I think is very appropriate to where we are now, you know, the first Black NFL coach was a guy by the name of Fritz Pollard. He coached in 1991, first Black NFL coach. Before Lovie Smith got hired a couple days ago, there were in 2022 the exact same amount of black head coaches as there were in 1921.
19.
Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
mean, 91 or 21?
19. There was one black coach in the NFL in 1921 until a couple of days ago when the Houston hired Smith. There was only one black head coach in 2022. In the history of the league, there's been less than 24 black head coaches.
Wow, that's crazy.
I thought about it. In 1921, they had one black coach.
Yep, that's
amazing. That in itself is amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at that like that doesn't seem right, but I guess it is. Yeah. Now I had one that I used to remember my parents talking about, and I wanted you to illuminate that a little bit for us. And that is Bayard Rustin. I remember my parents talking about him, but I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, Bayard Rustin is, there would be no civil rights movement without him. He was the organizational and administrative brains of the civil rights movement. So the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was Dr. King's organization, Bayard Rustin set that up and organized it. The seminal event of the civil rights movement, which was the March on Washington, Bayard Rustin was the organizer of it. He was actually, if you've ever read a Martin Luther King Jr. book, he was the ghostwriter for all of King's books. Dr. King, as a point of integrity, wanted Bayard Rustin's name to appear on the cover of all of his books with his name. Bayard Rustin said, thanks, but no thanks. The reason why we don't really know Bayard Rustin is because, he was gay. And Hoover, who was the director of the FBI, who was gay as well, in an attempt to destroy the civil rights movement, had Bayard Rustin arrested for being gay. And
what happened?
It was vicious. So
Baldwin too. I remember all of that going on, and I remember my parents kind of whispering about it, but I didn't know that's what. Oh, that's very interesting.
That's what it was. Yeah, Baldwin was too. That's why it's very tough to be a black man, but especially a man who dealt with being gay back then. And so that's why actually Baldwin left the States to go live in Paris, because he felt like I can be who I really am there.
Right.
Really, I'm not making any moral judgments about any of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, so we're not doing all that.
Yeah, we're not doing all that. The reason why Baldwin comes back to the States is he read an article of one of these young kids who was integrating in elementary school, saw the horror in her face. It was a young woman, I believe her first name was Dorothy, in Charlotte. She had integrated a school. And here he is in a cafe in Paris. And Baldwin just said, I'm enjoying a comfortable life here, but my people are involved in this struggle. I need to be in the struggle with them. So he came back to the States.
Yeah, seen that picture of that little girl, I think.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe so. But there was so much going on, so much black people didn't want to talk about.
That's right.
That we did hide, and I'm glad that things are more open. But I remember, my parents, there was that whispering back then about all of that. And these men were absolutely brilliant.
We gotta get to your messy.
My messy. Okay. I'm gonna go get messy. My Claude is like, people, when is Vicki gonna get real messy? All right, Pastor, I get real messy.
Okay.
I remember you preaching and talking about those boys eating up all the food in your house, your sons. I remember it, and I know you did it. And I just want to know, are they still eating up all the food in your house?
Well, Vicki, look, my oldest is about 21. My middle is 19. My youngest is 17. So my two oldest are out of the house. They paying for their own groceries.
I'll never forget that when you said that.
Yeah. So I got
it was true.
my oldest is in Arizona. He's in college there. My middle is he's in LA at Biola. He's in college there.
Okay.
My youngest is finishing up his junior year. But yeah, I used to always say, if one of them comes to me and says, "Dad, I've fallen in love with a woman. How do you know she's the one?" I already know what I'm going to say to them. If you can look into her eyes the way you look into my refrigerator, she's the one. She's the one.
That's so funny. I'll never forget that. I mean, you were like suffering. Wait, they were eating.
Yeah, see, y'all had girls.
Help you with that honorarium.
Yeah, y'all had girls, and Shamael, she's always been this petite, but boys, it's different. It's different.
Well, we've got grandsons when we had generations of girls, and those boys are something different. One's 4 and one's 1, and they are eating a lot right now. But
hey, look, I got a question for y'all.
Okay.
Gospel music, has it changed a lot?
Yeah, I think it has. The music industry has changed so much.
Right.
Number one, because of the way people consume music.
Yeah.
But, I was getting a little hopeless feeling there for a minute, but I'm seeing now that I really love, what's his name? The guitar, Jonathan McReynolds.
Yes.
I do like what Maverick City is doing.
Yeah.
And so there are some things happening, but it's not selling like it used to, or being consumed.
Right. Yeah, it's being consumed, but it's the business model has changed significantly.
Well, the hottest gospel person right now is Kanye West.
Wow.
So that.
Vicki, what do you call him?
Oh, I call him a rock star. I call Kanye a rock star because God said the rocks are going to cry out.
Y'all don't do
And so the rocks are crying out. So Snoop Dogg and Kanye are rock stars. I call them. The rocks are crying out, children.
Wow.
And that's just the way I see it. But it's really interesting when the hottest gospel artist is Kanye West. But he's a rock star. What are you gonna do?
Right.
God has rock stars, and so that's what we've got.
Yeah.
But I got a few little tidbits, so we can change subjects a couple more times. I heard you really like jazz.
I love jazz. In fact, my middle son is named Miles after Miles Davis. Not long after Miles was born, I read a biography on Miles Davis and kind of wished I didn't name him because Brother Miles was a little rough. But Miles, we're going to redeem the name. But I love John. I actually wanted to name our youngest Coltrane, and my wife said, "You're doing too much." We're doing so.
You picked some rough background.
Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and Freddie Hubbard, I would say, are my 3 favorite.
That is complicated music, actually. It's like classical. It's just so complicated. Clyde and I actually have a limited edition. I think there was only maybe 70 at most in the edition of Miles Davis.
The art
because he did art to try to help him with his drug addiction, with his habit.
Yes, I didn't know that.
Yes. So his art pieces are
phenomenal.
They are incredible, and he did this art as a way to not take drugs, and the stuff is incredible.
Well, the next time I'm in LA, I'm coming over to your house just to do that.
Yeah. It's well, you know what? It's that piece I think is at my parents' right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of art.
We'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back out.
We put a lot of stuff in their parents, but
because
we have a lot of
amazing artist, by the way. Your daughter is an amazing.
Yes, stuff.
Is that more you, Vicki, or you, Claude?
You know what? On my mother's side,
yes,
my mother, my grandmother, my uncles, my aunt, they could all draw. She got all of that going on in her, with the with the art. She's very artistic. She's taking a break from her mom and dad right now, so she's not here with us.
Okay.
I think she was instrumental
in you being on.
For you being on.
But she's
Yeah.
like, I need to do my own thing for a while. So that's
Got
where we're respecting that. And then we heard also that you love golf.
Oh, golf is my thing. That is, I'm going on the golf course tomorrow. I love golf. Absolutely love it. A good month, I'm out there once a week. So yeah, it's you know we all have to do those things. Seriously, like I'm glad the mental health conversation is coming to our community, the Black community.
Yes.
And a part of, I think, taking care of yourself is finding those things, those hobbies that give you life.
Yes.
And for me, that's golf. That's golf.
Like my dad, I've said this on the show before, but he's 94 years old. He still golfs, and he's going to be in a tournament for the Christian publishers.
Yeah, we go to a convention, and so he represents our publishing company in the golf tournament.
And at 94, he's going to be golfing. So it's he stopped taking us because he said we were tacky and we didn't know how to.
I think because
he just thought you guys are too colored on the golf
rules of golf. My best game is best ball. So I just whoever's got best ball, that's what I'm doing.
What was that thing they tried to do on the golf course? They all looked at some people that didn't know my dad looked at him and said, well, are we going to play the senior tee? Ed, what are you going to play? My dad doesn't play the senior tee.
Are you?
Yeah, he does not play the senior
tee. They thought they were going to get away, so we just, because they were all going to play together.
Yeah. And then they asked him how old he was, and I think maybe then he was 89 or something. And they were just, what? Yeah. Well, now what he tries to do is, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he tries to play his age.
Okay.
So, you know, he tries to play his age because he's slowing down a little bit now, but he's still playing. But that's funny. Somebody said, you so beautiful, Queen. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. Well, my hobby to help my mental health, which needs help, amen, is fragrances.
Oh,
so all of a sudden, I've gotten into them heavily.
Wow.
Do you wear any fragrances?
So this is it's very interesting you should ask that. Do you know Pastor Wayne Chaney?
Yes. Okay, we know what's going
Whole
on.
level with fragrances. So I don't know how we got to the conversation. He said, "Oh, Bryan, next time you're in LA, we're gonna go fragrance shopping." So I meet him at do you know a spot in Beverly Hills called the Scent Bar?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So he takes me there, and we're there for 4 hours.
Well,
Oh yes.
I said, brother, I hate to do this to you, but this is too long for me. Like, I didn't know you could mix stuff together. Like it's like on a whole nother. So he put this thing, he had them mix something together. He paid for it.
Oh yeah, he did.
I didn't know you could pay that much money for fragrances. And I tell you what, though, let's just say he helped my marriage.
Okay. Well, yes. I'm not mad at you.
They got some names for some scents that they.
Because he just bought me some scents. Oh my goodness.
Did you pick them out, Claude, without Vicki?
Oh no. Because this is what I got. I got a list of like about 100. And I said, she said, this is picked from this list.
I do. For gifts, period. But with the fragrances, I pick high end, mid, and low.
Okay.
And he can get any of them for me, and I'll be happy.
That's how she's
he would go with the
and I went for it.
He got some really fabulous. Now, do you wear fragrances, or you pick them for your wife?
So my wife is just very particular. So she's locked into, I think, like 3 of them or whatever. So yeah, I just stay in that lane, and and get them for. But yeah, I probably for myself, I've got a handful of fragrances that I'll rotate, and I really enjoy. But Wayne has taught me. I can't even. So, is there a thing like Roja? Like Roja is like.
It's Roja.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Fragrance, absolutely.
Yeah. So I remember that one. And I've got a Louis Vuitton one that I really like.
Okay.
But the one Wayne picked out for me was this Roja one. It stays on me for like a couple of days. It's crazy.
That's called beast mode.
Beast mode.
Yeah, so they've got fragrances that are beast mode fragrances, and that's what that is, a beast mode, and it has something called the sillage. I've gotten into all this, but he got you a beast mode fragrance.
Okay.
I need to go talk to because that's where I got that up.
Yeah, he got me some stuff at the
I went there to get some stuff for her.
Wait a minute. See, Linda Maldonado, the Latina princess, she's telling me to stay with that Old Spice. She at least used to do a Faithful Central. I see you. I see.
You know, Linda, where did it come from? How's Linda doing? She just
That's
funny. That's funny.
You know, we have enjoyed having you. We promised that we would only keep you an hour. I know you're busy, but you gotta promise us that we can talk some more.
I'm coming back. I'm for sure. I'm coming back, and yeah, I really enjoyed our time. This was great.
Oh, thank you. And we learned so much from you.
Praise God.
So let's tell everybody where they can find you. Oh, I want to tell everybody that this will also be on YouTube. Please join us and subscribe. It's under Vicki, Mack, Lataillade. This show will be on there. And Pastor, where can we get a hold of you? Where can we find you? Where can we find your books and all that kind of great stuff?
So you can go to Amazon. You can just type my name in. All my stuff is gonna come up there. I've got a couple of podcasts. If you want to hear more of my teaching ministry, type my name in, Bryan Loritts. It'll pop up. If you want to hear more about ethnic unity, type in Kainos, the Kainos podcast.
Okay.
N as in Nancy, OS. And then I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, social media. So yeah.
Under Loritts.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We've had so much fun. So we are definitely going to have to come back. And I want to talk more about these biracial marriages and that whole thing and what you're studying and all that kind of stuff. It'll be so interesting. So thank you again.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Hello. What's
Thank
up?
you so much for watching Carfitable
Talks.
Thank you. Please remember to press that like button, and we need you to subscribe. And also,
leave some comments. Really need to hear from you.
Thank you.